Hey, Ms. Dale.
Good evening, everyone. It is 6 p.m. and I want to welcome everyone to tonight's meeting of the West Richland City Council. So I have called the meeting to order, but before we get started, I'm going to ask Jessica, who's filling in for our city clerk, to read the hybrid meeting ground rules and then call roll call for city council.
Okay, tonight's meeting will be held in person with a virtual meeting component. If you're participating virtually, please make sure the name shown at the bottom of your video view is the name you'd like the mayor to use. You can change this by right-clicking on your video view. Turn myself down here. And selecting rename. Audience members present in the council chambers will be called upon first during public comment periods. Those participating remotely should virtually raise their hand if they wish to speak. To virtually raise your hand, click on Participants and then click on Raise Hand. If you are participating by phone, only press *9 to raise your hand. Please limit comments to 3 minutes.
Thank you, Jessica. And I will ask Councilmember Moran.
I'll do roll call really quick. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
roll call.
Fred.
I'm going too fast.
Yeah. Fred Brink,
Here.
Richard Bloom,
Here.
David Cole,
Here.
David Fetto,
Here.
Kate Moran, present, Dan Ritchie, John Smart,
Here.
Ken Stoker.
Here. Well, Councilmember Moran had advance warning. She's going to be called upon to lead us in the pledge, so please do so.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Moran. Council, the agenda is before you. Are there any changes?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to move item 6C from the consent agenda to section 8, ordinances, resolution, motions, and public hearings, please.
All right, we will move item 6C from the consent agenda, and we will move it to item 8D as in Delta. So, Council, do I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
I move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second. I have motion and a second to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, motion carries. We have no presentations this evening, so we will move on to the consent agenda, which tonight consists of approving the minutes from the regular meeting on April 21, 2026, and the council retreat workshop on April 27, 2026. We have Resolution 2326, setting a public hearing date for the city's comprehensive general sewer plan, dated February 2026. We have motion to adopt the 2027-2028 strategic plan, motion to award 2026 citywide striping project, and motion to award sewer extension I-Plant to RSD project. Is there anyone present here tonight who would like to comment on the consent agenda? Seeing none, is there anyone attending virtually who would like to comment on the consent agenda? If so, please raise your virtual hand. The clerk will then unmute you, and I kindly request that you state your name and city of residence for the record and provide your comments. You may also press *9 to raise your hand via telephone. I see no one online that wishes to comment. Do you, Jessica?
I do not.
All right. Seeing no one, we will move on. This is the first public comment period. Well, first we will approve the consent agenda, yes. So we have the consent agenda before us. Is there a motion to approve it as presented?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second on the consent agenda. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries. Thank you. Now we'll go to our first opportunity for public comment for items not on the agenda, please. If you wish to provide comments, I ask that you come to the podium, Kindly state your name and residence for our record, and you'll have 3 minutes to provide your comments. I do remind anyone that wishes to speak that council cannot respond to questions during this comment period, and that this time frame is for comments specifically relating to items not on the agenda, as we will ask for comments about agenda items as we proceed. Is there anyone present here who would like to make public comment?
Good evening, council. My name is Jerry Boggs, 1802 Maplewood Avenue here in West Richland. I'm here tonight to comment briefly on two subjects. Subject one being the modification of regulations, rules, and ordinances of the city of West Richland on how we manage fireworks management, how we manage fireworks during the July 2nd, 3rd, and 4th celebrations. I'm not here to reiterate previous comments, but rather to point out how I and so many other city residents interpret the results of the recent survey on this issue. The council has for years interpreted its previous surveys to support their decision to allow fireworks of all legal types to occur during those 3 days. In the most recent survey, however, there's an oddball fact here that the proportion of residents who are very satisfied or satisfied with current regulations is about the same as those who are dissatisfied or very dissatisfied, 45 to 44%. At the same time, it is worth noting that on the issue of fireworks regulation direction, 51% of the residents want either more restrictive regulations or a total ban, compared to 44% who want less restrictive regulations or simply to keep them as they are. 51% is a majority, and we're a democracy as a nation, as a state, as a county, as a city. And I feel like that 51% represents a fairly astounding majority over the 44% who would prefer to have things kept the way they are. And I'm asking you to pay attention to that fact. There are many other aspects of the concerns and proposals for improving regulation of fireworks that could be addressed, and you may be hearing about them from other members of the public. I end my summary statement on this issue by recommending to you that the council stop proclaiming an evenness of belief and opinion regarding this issue. It's not even, gentlemen and lady. It's 51% to 44%. That's not even. I don't know how anybody can come up with that. Further, I request that this council be proactive in its next workshop and come up with new fireworks management that will ease and satisfy the concerns of the majority of the voting residents who have in fact stated their goals. My second issue is one that has not technically come before you yet, and that's the issue of the probable issue of a data center application for the city of West Richland in the Lewis and Clark Ranch. Now, am I interfering on that issue?
Mr. Boggs, you've reached your 3-minute limit. We do have a
Okay.
second
All
comment
right.
period if you'd care to
I'll do it
comment
then.
on that.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Please come up. Yep.
Hello, my name is Anna Kessie and I live in West Richland on Bing Street. And today I want to first say thank you for all of the service you do for our community. And I want to express my concern with the possibility of a data center being built in our beautiful town. I know that an application has not yet been submitted. However, that could happen any day. And once the applications are submitted, it is very hard to stop that. So the time to talk about it is now. And like he mentioned, there was a vote last year to allow data centers to be built in areas zoned as urban transition and light industrial. And I don't feel that we should allow that. As I hear the plans of houses and schools being built near this area in the Lewis and Clark Ranch, I'm concerned with the health impacts. The mission statement written on the West Richland City website mentioned that part of its mission is to provide a safe, healthy, and welcoming city where people choose to live and raise a family. Allowing a data center in our town, especially close to proposed schools and housing, would not fulfill the mission of a healthy city. I'm going to read a quote by Kristen Megan Kelly, who is a senior industrial hygienist and environmental specialist of 24 years. She said, referring to data centers, they look for locations that are cheaper, have loose zoning, and minimal resistance from communities. The proximity to existing transmission corridors, substations, waterways, and utilities. This is why the farmland in rural communities become targets. It is not because it is the safest locations. It is because they are the fastest to obtain under the pressure from these contracts. End quote. So they aren't the safest locations. They aren't looking out for us. That's our job. We are the ones that have the passion in our community. We care about the health of our residents. They just want to build in places where they are easiest to build, and they care about the paperwork. Kelly also stated, data centers require extensive electric infrastructure. These systems use low frequency and electromagnetic fields continuously. Chronic exposure has been associated with sleep disruption, headaches, stress responses, and cognitive fatigue. Livestock near high load electrical systems have demonstrated behavioral and reproductive impacts. So proximity matters, particularly for children with developing nervous systems. She goes on to say that pregnant women are affected by the hazardous noise. She says, even if it is not the definition of hazardous noise, these studies that they have are based on 8-hour time weighted average and does not include children or livestock and not 24-hour continuous exposure. And she mentioned that the high cardiac load on the pregnant mother can cause a higher heart rate in the fetus, causing miscarriages. So I hope that we can safeguard our city and be diligent in keeping data centers away from our communities, especially near houses and schools where children may be at risk. And I believe the health of every single individual in our town combines to make our whole town healthy. So we really need to think about the individual and all the people that we're planning on putting in these areas. Thank you so much for your time.
Is there anyone else present in chambers that would like to speak?
Greetings. My name is Deborah Humphreys, and I live at 4705 Collins Road. And I'm going to talk about fireworks again. The changes I would like to see is I'd like to see the stop and discharge of aerials and mortars. I think fountains and sparklers on green areas is okay. Shorten the days of the discharge to July 4th only. New Year's Day is okay. More enforcement is needed on all violations. Less fireworks vendors and sell to adults 18 years or older. And did you know that they sell to 16-year-olds? Let's work on a solution together, focusing on a community celebration for all of us to enjoy, not an event that the police and our first responders and firefighters cannot possibly manage. May I suggest a green area at the Tri-City Raceway one day with aerials, mortars, drone show, fire trucks, ambulances, live music, dancing, beer tent, food, ice cream, merchandise, and craft vendors, picnic atmosphere, a bouncy house, sprinklers for the kids, face painting, school-oriented talent shows, and blankets for families for picnicking. We have such great potential. Who would not love that? Something we all can be proud of and support for many years to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else present in chambers who would like to speak? Sir?
How y'all doing tonight? My name is Harry Mays. I live at 8413 Ballard Loop. And I just want to say a couple of comments about the fireworks. I do think we may have a firework problem, but I don't think it's really widespread. I think it's like basically a certain area that has the majority of the problems. And I'm not saying we should ignore those people in that area. But I also don't believe everybody should be should suffer because one area has a problem. I think maybe we could come to a decision of like maybe patrolling that one particular area a lot more. What Ms. Humphrey said about the racetrack, I kind of tend to agree that that's a pretty good idea. But I also agree that I don't agree with the fact, as a lot of my neighbors don't agree with the fact that we shouldn't have aerials anymore. Because aerials and the explosions and all of that is going off is part of what, I'm gonna say it the right way, that makes this country great, that we able to see that happening. And I actually took it upon myself to go around my neighborhood, which is the mountains at I forgot, the ranch at the mountains at Red Mountain. I went over there, I started like traversing the whole area, walking around, trying to see, hey, how do y'all feel about fireworks? I asked them, did they return the surveys? A lot of people was like, they seen the surveys, they didn't return them. They was like, life catches up. So also with that being said, I kind of did like a little survey, and I noticed that a lot of the people that were having the problems with the fireworks lived in a certain area, and they also were people that had more time to sit and worry about fireworks. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm not saying that to belittle anybody or to demean anybody, because that is a concern when they're worried about their property. I understand that. But I just don't think that we should literally say we don't need aerials and all of this. And then the comment was made about how the other cities around us, what they're doing. I don't think we need to be, as West Richlanders, just like ballying up and doing what everybody else is doing. And I also don't think that when people come and they want us to change the ordinances, that it actually costs money to start enforcing these different ordinances and everything that goes into it. So with that being said, I hope it got across. But like I said, I do think maybe we can do something about the fireworks. Just don't get rid of the aerials or whatever. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else present, chambers, who would like to make public comment? All right, seeing no one, I do see two individuals online. Miss Polly Parton, I will ask you to speak first, please. I'll have the city clerk unmute you. And once again, kindly state your name and address for the record, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead, please.
I'm Polly Parton. I'm
We-
at 316
We do hear
Northview.
you, Miss Parton.
I'm at 316 Northview Loop. I'm again asking you to reconsider the fireworks issue. I'm asking to reduce the excessive fireworks on future 4th of July.
Yeah, unfortunately, we cannot hear you, Miss Parton.
Can we go to the next person and I
Yeah.
can see if we can hear them?
I will come back to you, but I will turn now to Jennifer Hamlin. Ms. Hamlin, the city clerk will unmute you, and you will have 3 minutes, please.
You muted?
I'm unmuted here.
Can you hear me?
You should be unmuted, Ms. Hamlin.
Unfortunately, I'm getting Polly, the other person's talking over. I can hear it in my ears.
Audio problems.
Oh, and all the right settings.
I don't hear her currently. You want me to give it a
We did
shot?
have an issue earlier, but I just fixed.
I'll give us Jessica a few minutes just to resolve the issue. All right. Yeah, since I closed the public comment for those present, you'll have the opportunity. Public comment period. Which one are you?
Jennifer, you can tell Jennifer she can.
Jennifer Hamlin, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I can hear you.
If it's okay with council, I will move on to other agenda items and then try to come back to give the individuals an opportunity to speak again.
I can hear you guys. You have me muted somehow.
My speaker shows an X by it.
Yeah, see.
All right, let's see.
You can still push the speaker on the main system.
All the way, see.
For those attending online, we're trying to resolve the technical issues. Please bear with us for a few minutes.
Maybe that's.
Okay, all right. I apologize to you, Ms. Hamlin. We seem to be unable to hear your comments when you were unmuted. I will ask Jessica if you would please unmute her one more time.
Other option, I could try to make her a co-host, but I don't know if that's the best thing to do. Yeah, I don't know why it's not working here.
Yep,
That's the only.
yep. If you'll, can you try to unmute Ms. Hamlin?
Yeah, I did. The other option, and I don't know if this, I could try to make her a co-host. I don't know, Eric, if you're okay with that. Do you want me to try to make her a co-host and see if she can speak then? No? Okay.
All right, council, well, given the technical issues, I would like to give Jennifer some time to address these. And then we can come back during the second comment period. Ms. Barton, Ms. Hamlin, I apologize. There are apparently some technical issues on this end, which we will try to resolve for the second comment period. All right. Moving on to ordinances, resolutions, motions, and public hearings. We have items 8A, 8B, 8C, which are related to the Lewis and Clark Ranch Subarea Plan. Both the City Council and the Planning Commission have participated in this planning process over the past several years, attending several workshops and hosting a public meeting on the proposal at the April 21st City Council meeting. I want to thank in advance city staff, particularly community development, public works, finance, and the other individuals that were involved, as this was a years-long process in order to get us where the point we are this evening. And I also want to thank our Planning Commission and our City Council for the hard work that you did in bringing this together. So I will now turn to Eric. I believe you have a brief staff report to present.
I do. Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Before you tonight is the second reading as a culmination of years of work, including in community engagement, development analysis, and visioning for the future in Lewis Ranch Master Plan community. You've heard me and our consultant present detailed information on this proposal multiple times over the past several years. There have been 2 recent public hearings with multiple opportunities for the public to comment in person or in writing. Tonight will be solely for council deliberation and action. The Planning Commission and staff recommend council approve the proposed 3 ordinances with sub-area plan, planned action ordinance, map amendments, comprehensive plan amendments, and development regulation amendments as outlined in the recommended motions before you.
Thank you, Mr. Mendenhall. We have 3 items before us for approval, which will process as 3 separate motions. Council, do I have a motion for item 8A, the ordinance adopting the comprehensive plan and land use map amendments for the Lewis and Clark sub-area plan?
I move to adopt proposed ordinance 06-2, amending the comprehensive plan and land use map amendments associated with the Lewis and Clark Ranch sub-area plan and adopting said plan as an element of the existing comprehensive plan.
Second.
I have motion and a second. Council, are there any questions or discussion that haven't been previously addressed in the staff report or in prior meetings as the sub-area plan was formulated?
Mr. Mayor,
Card, yeah, right there. Just so I can call everyone in order. All right. Councilmember Smart.
Thank you, sir. I submitted a couple questions to Eric earlier about this at our subcommittee meeting and then sort of officially today. And I provided each council member with a copy of those just because they had images associated with them. And maybe Eric, you can help me out with this. This is talking about the sub-area plan, which I'm trying to figure out which of these three sections of this suggested motion does this adopt or regulate? I guess it would be regulations or the plan. Help me out there. What do these questions pertain to? Which of those three ordinance sections?
All three.
All three? Okay, so this is a fine time to address them, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So I'll just read these for the interests of the citizens attending. So my general concern with the Lewis and Clark plan is not the fact that West Richland is growing. That's pretty much inevitable. And it is that the plan does show the potential for a very different character than what West Richland currently looks like. However, I've tried to make sure throughout the course of these years of development of this plan that the way West Richland looks now, largely, the neighborhoods we have in the older sections of town and so forth, are still a possibility that those could be developed if a developer chose to make that decision in the future. Now, I think what this plan does is that it also allows for more high density development if that is what the market demands. So the way I interpret this plan, and I'm expressing this, by the way, not just for my own edification, but so that people understand logic and reasoning is here on this process. I think what this plan does is it has a range of possible development strategies. It basically does allow for higher densities, but it also allows for, I hope, some of the types of neighborhoods to be developed that we are used to living in here in West Richland, whether it be, what I did was I wrote a note to Eric and asked him, I said, let's look at something we're all familiar with. Because one of the things I noticed in the commercial neighborhood that is laid out in the Lewis and Clark plan is that the sketches and the diagrams in the plan almost exclusively show, what I would consider to be big city buildings, 4 stories or 2 stories, or 5 stories or whatever the height is, right up next to the sidewalk. And then you have a street, and then you have another sidewalk, then you have another building starting. This is what you see in, densely developed areas. And so my concern with that was, does this still allow for us to have a big box store, which some of us enjoy shopping at because we get our groceries cheaper there than we would in a neighborhood market that we might walk into in Washington, D.C. that's underneath an apartment complex. If any of you have experienced that, it's very prevalent in big cities to have small shops, very expensive small shops with living spaces above. And that's what this plan allows, but it doesn't dictate that has to happen, I hope. And that's what my question is to Eric tonight. And I've already asked him this, and I've asked him to prepare a couple comments. But my first question shows an overview of the Dupertale, Queensgate, Walmart, Home Depot, Target development area, which you're all familiar with. And I say, is this, let's see, I'll just read it. The image above shows typical big box store layout that provides parking in front of the main buildings, but it also accommodates smaller shops adjacent to the main road. I'll add, Krispy Kreme and the other little shops that are out there, the restaurants. Note that the depth of these commercial lots range between 700 and 1,000 feet deep off of Dupertail Street. If the type of development shown in this image was proposed in the new Lewis and Clark Ranch commercial strip, what changes would be needed to make the scale of the zones and the plan as currently written, or what changes need to be made to the plan as currently written? Would the mix of businesses or style of the buildings need to be changed? Would other types of uses like residential units need to be added? And this is my first question to Eric. And Eric, you have a response to that, I presume.
Absolutely. And thank you, John, for reaching out to me prior to the meeting. I know we've had several conversations with this as we went through the workshop meetings. You've shared these exact same comments and questions, and we've had a response for them. So I'll share the response, which no changes would be necessary. The code is intended to be flexible and allow for big box commercial if proposed. You brought up this at the workshop, like I said, and we specifically looked at the Queensgate development to make sure that that would work within the regulations that we're proposing. And so, yes, they could be under the current regs. Residential would not be required as part of that big box commercial development, but it could be incorporated if so desired. But I would anticipate having a Walmart with residences above it in this more rural urban environment, right? So, and then also want to note that these regulations are meant to be updated eventually, right? That what we're doing, it's not a perfect code. We can't ever get to that point of a perfect code. Otherwise, we wouldn't need a council to update codes, right? So, if there are any needed changes, and council agrees with the needed changes, then code could be modified and updated to address those needs.
Great, thank you for that. And again, I just wanted these statements to be on the record during the time that we're going to vote on this. And again, so that people understand some of the insights that I've gained. And thank you for that answer. The second question shows an image of the Bird Hill House development. It's about 1 mile by 1 mile square. And there's a smaller or larger image that shows, 1 or 2 city blocks so that you can see. The question states, the 2 images above show an aerial view of the Bird Hill housing development and a close-up view where detail like front yards, side yards, backyards, and relative size of homes and property can be seen. The overall Bird Hill development area is approximately 1 mile by 1 mile square. Will the Lewis and Clark Ranch plan allow this exact type and scale of development? If not, what would need to be changed?
The only changes I saw in that, John, lot sizes, setbacks, all of that, I think could be definitely accommodated fairly easily. The only elimination would be the amount of cul-de-sacs that are in Bird Hill. You can't really navigate well through Bird Hill without hitting a cul-de-sac somewhere. That is a current code that was adopted a while back for gridded streets being a requirement to improve connectivity, redundancies in the network, more efficient services for things like your refuse pickups and the snowplow. And gridded streets also provide for faster response for first-time responders. So other than the cul-de-sacs, I think the housing styles and all of that, the setbacks, all of that could be accommodated in this plan.
Okay, well, I appreciate the answer to those questions. I posed them that way to summarize a plethora of little nitty-gritty questions about code details, which are pretty much wrapped up in your responses there, and I appreciate that. So thank you. I personally have not agreed with the concept of eliminating cul-de-sacs. I think they're a great place to raise a family. However, as a council member, I understand that you don't get everything you want, and that if a developer comes with a lot of money in the future and says, I want to build a development with all cul-de-sacs, my guess is council will make that consideration at the time. So again, I'm opposed to that, but it's not a big enough concern to cause me to vote against this. So I appreciate your audience. Thank you.
Are there any other comments, questions from council? All right, seeing none, council, you have a motion before you for the approval of the comprehensive plan and land use amendments. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. Council, at item 8B is an ordinance adopting the Lewis and Clark Ranch Subarea Development Regulations and associated map and West Richland Municipal Code updates. May I have a motion, please?
I move to adopt ordinance 0726, adopting the Lewis and Clark Ranch Subarea Development Regulations, amending the zoning map and associated provisions to the West Richland Municipal Code pertaining to the Lewis and Clark Ranch Subarea Plan.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Council, any discussion on this motion? Councilmember Moran.
Thank you. I believe this would be the good time just to briefly talk about the data centers. And I will say that I know there's a lot of discussion about it in specifically the table that discusses where it is allowed. And previous, it had been allowed in the urban transition zone as well as light industrial. And the only changes here that we've done, correct me if I'm wrong, please, is just remove it from the urban transition because we'll no longer have that and adding it to the mixed use light industrial. So now it's either in light industrial or mixed use light industrial rather than light industrial and transition use. Is that correct?
That is a correct statement.
Okay, thank you.
Seeing no other questions from council, we have the motion to adopt the Lewis and Clark Ranch Subarea Development Regulations and associated map and code updates. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. Lastly, we have item 8C. Item 8C is an ordinance establishing planned action for the portion of the Lewis and Clark Ranch subarea pursuant to SEPA. Do I have a motion?
I move to adopt ordinance 08-26, adopting the Lewis and Clark Ranch Planned Action Ordinance for Phase 1 of the subarea.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion, council? Seeing none, Mayor Pro Tem Blue.
Well, I just want to jump in there for the audience's viewpoint. We're talking, this is only for phase 1 and not for the rest of the.
It's the same.
Yeah, I know, but I'm reiterating. So, and there currently isn't any light industrial in phase 1 for data centers.
All right, seeing no other discussion. Once again, we have a motion establishing planned action for a portion of the Lewis and Clark Ranch subarea pursuant to SEPA. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. Thank you, council. We'll now move on to item 8D, which was the item removed from the consent agenda. Resolution 2426, amending the master fee schedule for solid waste service rates. Councilmember Stoker, you asked that item be pulled, so I will turn the floor to you, please.
Yes, so I asked for this because I would like our citizens to be aware, both in the written as well as in the audio documentation of what this entails. And I believe our city directors responsible for this have agreed to be able to outline this for everyone. So I'm just doing this for transparency purposes.
Here,
All right.
I'll happily outline this. So in March, we received a letter from EDS stating one of their major fees, which is called a transfer fee or a source fee. So it's another company that charges them money. So in that fee went from $59.74 per ton to $80 per ton. So they saw a 34% increase in their portion of their business. And so that translates to about a 10.65% increase in most services to be transferred to the city. So that so they're seeing a 34% increase in like a single family residential can is going to go up $3.41. which is the 10% increase. Of that makeup of that rate, just a portion of that disposal fee is in there, so it's not all coming. This is permitted within their contract. That's why we're seeing it mid-year. So part of their contract is they can transition these fees and increase our rates when that happens, which is why it was on the consent agenda.
Thank you, Director Gwynn. Council, may I have a motion then for this approval of this resolution?
I move to adopt Resolution 24-26, amending master fee schedule for solid waste service rates.
Second. I have motion and a second. Any further discussion from council? All right, seeing none, we have a motion to amend the master fee schedule for solid waste. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries. Thank you, council. We don't have any unfinished business this evening, nor do we have any new business tonight. So next up is the second opportunity for public comment. Once again, I will turn to those that are present here this evening to speak first if they wish. I ask you to come to the podium. Kindly limit your comments to 3 minutes. And once again, I just advise everyone the council will not respond to any comments that you make. Is there anyone that would like to come forward and speak for this second comment period? Yes, sir.
I am Fred Parton, 316 Northview Loop. And what I'm here to mainly speak about is at a bare minimum, I'd like to see the aerial fireworks and the mortars stopped here in West Richland. To repeat myself, last August, we had a fire between the trailer park and where we live on Northview Loop that to get the fire out, we had Pasco, Richland, Kennewick fire trucks, 3 helicopters, and then a guy came in with a cat and a disc, and they got the fire out. And it was very scary. We had fire trucks at each end of our home. And if it would have happened, you know, after like hearing the fire chief, if this would have happened on the 4th of July, we wouldn't have had the resources to put that fire out. I'm sure our neighbor's house would have been gone, possibly ours. The mayor before you was there at our house. I was talking to him, but it was a very scary moment. And it took a lot of resources to put that fire out. So it's something that we need to think about with the cutbacks where the Pasco, Kennewick may not be able to come if we have another big fire and if it's caused by fireworks because they'll be spread too thin. So that's the main thing I wanted to testify about, actually being there, seeing it, how bad the fire was. It was a city transformer box down in the corner, and lo and behold, it was the same one that burned up 8 years before. But that day they got the fire out because there was no wind. And actually, we were building a home, and I was the general contractor on it, and I called it in. And the guys at the West Richland Fire Station came down and they put it out, but then that was closed for a while. I guess it's reopened now. It's the one there behind Tap Teal. But anyway, the one idea, and we've talked about it before, if they were interested in having the aerials out the West Richland track, that would be a good place where everybody could contain it, watch it, and not have to worry about it being all these rockets going all over town and not knowing where they're going to land. It's just a very dangerous situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak who's present here?
Hi, I'm still Jerry Boggs, still 1802 Maplewood Avenue. I'm going to work on the assumption that Councilwoman Moran's comments on data centers does not preclude me bringing that up as an issue. It seems inevitable to me that Trammell Crow will reach some type of agreement with the Frank Teagues LLC, and that at some point you will be facing an application for a huge data center within the Lewis and Clark Ranch sub-area. And you will face enormous pressure, both external and internal, to do something about that. There are many historic examples of data centers devastating the communities in which they occur. I know you don't want that to happen. I know there are significant advances in the techniques, procedures, the equipment of how data centers are run that minimize or reduce the impacts, but they don't necessarily eliminate them. And I hope that you will be very transparent and open with the public when that application comes in, so that we have a chance to review that ourselves and provide comments to you that are meaningful. And with that, I'll close, just asking you to remember that the city of West Richland is its citizens. And that's what you chose to represent when you ran as councilman and councilwoman. And so I ask you, represent us, protect us, see to our safety and welfare. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else present that would like to speak? Please.
One is just a little thing since Counselor Spark brought it up. Sorry,
Please
Sarah.
introduce yourself.
Sarah Letard. I live near Enterprise Park. Counselor Smart mentioned, how's the commercial districts in this new development going to look. So I just wanted to mention that I think a little urban area with maybe even some tall building, doesn't have to look like Brooklyn or anything, but where people can walk around and go shopping would be really great. So I hope that happens too. Just wanted to mention that. But the main thing I wanted to mention, very little, not to take away from what everybody else is talking about here, is just that survey is so unfriendly to read. I have old eyes, but other people do too. It's almost impossible to read that survey on anything less than a full-size computer monitor. And that makes it very, very hard to, be a regular person who participates in government. So I hope that the way it's formatted in the future is improved. I think every year since you've had the survey, it's gotten better every year. And also just the city website in general, like for instance, trying to get the agenda loaded is so hard. Shouldn't be that way. That's my comment.
Thank you. Is there anyone else present tonight? Humphreys.
Deborah Humphreys, 4705 Collins Road, and I forgot something. I sent this to everybody, and it is a summary of the survey. So it wasn't actually, all the information was correct. It just wasn't presented very well. Anyways, I just wanted to let you know that I'm the one that sent that, and I hope you had a chance to look at it. And I also, I'm not against fireworks. I mean, I've done that my whole life. I grew up watching them, in the parks and stuff. But this is just, I just want to see a safe fireworks somewhere where we don't have to worry. And I don't want to lose my house. And I work real hard to keep it, the distance around it so it won't burn, because I live near BLM land. So, it's concerning. And I know other people up there does too. So we're in this boat together and we need help. And thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else present that wishes to speak?
Hi, it's Harry Mays again, 8413 Ballard Loop. I'd like to just say something really quick. Councilman, I want to say Pro Tem Bloom said that there was no permit or anything that would that has been requested about a data center or anything, and then write in what you said, whatever, and that was fine. It's just that I realized that this is a very important topic for the community, and just want to just let you know that we really, really want to make sure that we do not have data centers. Data centers, they don't enhance property values, they lower property values. They are bad for like wildlife and things like that, like noise pollution, air pollution, basically, because they kill your water. Right. And then one other thing about data centers that I think people don't quite understand is that they say it's a closed loop system. It is not. It is not a closed loop system. The water has to go somewhere, and they do release it, and it goes into the air and like condensate and all of those things. And it's just terrible on the environment. No, like that. The other part about the zoning part where you address Mr. Smart, I understand what you're saying, but as a citizen, the reason I moved to West Richland was to basically get away from a lot of people, right? And that's probably kind of bad to say it, but I wanted to move to a more family-oriented type place where you do celebrations and everything, and you don't have so many things clustered and all of that, right? And I do understand what you're saying, that growth is sort of inevitable. But from my view and people I've talked in my neighborhood about different things, a lot of the growth comes from people they come from these bigger cities where they have already mucked them up. And then they try to come here to places like this with their new fancy ideals and all of that stuff. And they end up messing this up. And it's kind of like, I think we're in a great position to make sure this doesn't happen to our small town. I think we really have to take hold of that and realize that, like Mr. Boggs said, we elected you for different things. And I mean, we're not all going to agree on everything, right? But I do think we still agree that West Richland is a wonderful place to stay. We want to keep it as a wonderful place to stay. And we don't need to just chase the money all the time, because there are more important things, believe it or not, than just the money. We need to try to keep it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else present that hasn't spoken that wishes to?
Pat Carranza, 605 South 48th Avenue. Thank you. In accordance with RCW 4230-010 Legislative Declaration, this Washingtonian community member emailed a detailed Why This Matters public participation comment, WW 2026.50, April 26, requesting the city of West Richland officials pause further action until the record clearly shows the city's legal authority jurisdiction for Ordinance 412 Willamette Horn annexation and zoning that appears to improperly link a state subdivision plat of Willamette Heights on file in Benton County, Washington, that does not properly align with the federal land patent legal description plat of Willamette Meridian on file in the Federal Bureau of Land Management. According to the city's agenda background information, the 7,600 acre Lewis and Clark Ranch annexed in 81 in Ordinance 412 may have been improperly zoned under Washington's vested rights doctrine. Federal land patents granted prior to 1981 under provisions of federal USC Title 43 for agriculture or not for transition to state urban use under the city's comprehensive plan adopted in 1995. The Lewis and Clark Ranch application and any related annexation action should rely on accurate, traceable land records to avoid errors that create risks for the city and affected owners. City officials under State Chapter 35 RCW for Public Health, Safety, and Welfare may have worked to accommodate planning new homes with Lewis and Clark Ranch's developer grant operating as a real estate focused subsidiary to dedicate private land in exchange for public infrastructure that is prohibited by the federal Constitution's Fifth Amendment that requires a process of eminent domain with financial just compensation for historic privately owned USA land patents. In accordance with Washington WAC 365-196-720 sources of law, planners should refer to sources at all levels of government, including federal and state constitutions, statutes, administrative regulations, and judicial interpretations. I thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else present that wishes to speak? I will now move then to our virtual attendees, and hopefully we can get the technical issues resolved. I see Miss Jennifer Hamlin, you do have your hand raised again. I will ask our city clerk to unmute you, and hopefully we will be able to hear you.
Try changing the speaker and seeing if that works. I don't think it's going to.
Yeah.
She's muted still.
Yeah, it doesn't show unmuted on my screen, Jessica.
She might be muted on her side.
Can
Yeah,
you hear me?
Thank you, Miss Hamlin. Could you speak, please?
Yes, my name is Jennifer Hamlin. I live at 4215 Queen. And we moved here in 2013. We purposely built our home and landscaped with consideration for the desert climate. Since that time,
Nothing we
hello?
can do, unfortunately.
I hear you guys talking. Can you hear me?
Well, the council have to be able to hear it. Yeah. What do you think? Okay. We can try. Yeah.
Do you know that that's going?
Miss
Speakers?
Miss Hamlin, I'm going to give you a number. I'm going to ask you to call it if you would, and we'll see if we can get you on speaker that way as one last chance. And I greatly apologize for these technical issues.
I have no way to write down that number.
We'll use this phone here. If you're ready, please dial this number 509 374, excuse me, 509 713 0483. And I'll hold you to the speaker and see if we can do this. Miss Hamlin, I have an incoming call. Is that you?
It is me. Can you hear me now?
Yep, I'm going to hold you next to the speaker. Please go ahead.
Jennifer Hamlin, I live at 4215 Queen. We moved here in 2013. Purposely.
Sorry about that. Please start over.
I'm gonna give it one more shot. 4215 Queen. We moved here in 2013 and we purposely built our home and landscaping with consideration of the desert climate. Since that time, our homeowner's insurance has tripled with no claims against it. The reason that was cited was fire danger and rebuilding cost. According to the recent city survey, public opinion about current legal use of fireworks has changed. All of you ran for your positions, at least in part, to make our community a better, safer place. Yearly, you hear complaints from community members about the dangers of fireworks on the 4th of July, yet no laws are changed. The council has the ability to change the laws and/or institute an emergency ban, yet has not. 2025 was the worst year on record for fire danger. Our area was under both a red flag warning and a red flag emergency over the 4th of July holiday. Afterwards, at Mayor Brink's request, the fire chief gave a presentation during which he indicated that his department was overwhelmed on July 4th. The city councils of Kennewick and Richland fully support a ban on aerial fireworks in West Richland. Doing so would bring the three cities under the same umbrella. This would lead to a clear interpretation of firework laws, easier enforcement, and less property damage. As a taxpayer, I'm very concerned that if the city does not change the laws, the council and citizens will be faced with significant liability when there is a fire or event that results in serious property damage. The argument that a homeowner should be able to tell which one of their neighbors shot off an aerial firework and caused their house to burn down just doesn't hold water. The city will be held accountable. Dereliction of duty would come into play when the data shows the forecasted danger and nothing is done to mitigate that said danger. I strongly suggest that the council move on this issue quickly and decisively. If there is a council member who personally profits from the sale of fireworks, that individual, he or she, should remove themselves from any discussion, decisions, or votes on the matter. I mean, at the end of the day, this isn't working. The argument of the people will just go to the reservation to get fireworks is a poor argument at best. People are currently following the laws, and I would assume that they would continue to follow the laws if they changed. West Richland is now the de facto reservation for this area. We're being asked to pay more while feeling less safe every year. Change the law. Respectfully, I yield back to you.
Thank you, Ms. Hamlin. I see no one else virtually at this time. So I will move on to, do you see anyone else, Jessica?
I do not. I don't know if Polly wanted to speak, but I don't see anybody else raising their hand.
All right, I will move on then to staff and council announcements, reports and comments.
Can I say something? I just came from our house and my wife wanted to testify, Polly, and she did call in.
Can
I
she
see her
ra-
name up there, but
All right, that's fine, sir. Ms. Parton, if you wish to speak, please raise your hand. All right. Yeah. Ms. Parton, if you wish to speak, I will try to put you on speaker.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I know you had problems earlier.
And if not, you can call telephone number 509-713-0483. We'll try that.
I'm nervous. Does I sound bad?
She has
Did it
not
sound all right?
called the number, so I'm
Did you hear
going to
me?
I'm going to
Did it
move
sound
on
good? Good.
to staff and council announcements, reports and comments. Staff, I'll turn to you, Mr. Slade, Mr. Mendenhall, or Ms. Gwynn. Any comments? Any comments from the police department? All right. Council comments. Councilmember Fetto.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tomorrow is the start of the Wednesdays in West Food Market down at Flat Top Park. It'll be every other Wednesday, beginning tomorrow, 4:30. We got food trucks. We got two young gentlemen, 14 years old, that live here in the city that'll be performing. They've got a little rock band. So 4:30 tomorrow until duskish. Thursday, 7th, visit Tri-Cities open house down at their office on Grand Ridge. Everybody's invited to attend that. They're going to be talking about things that, they're doing to enhance tourism in the Tri-Cities. And then, I think I said this once before, June 20th is the grand opening and annual meeting for Benton REA at the new location. The ribbon cutting will be at 9. I think the annual meeting starts at noon. That's all I got. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Councilmember Moran.
Thank you. So I definitely would like to thank everybody that spoke. I appreciate, and I know that we all appreciate when folks come out and speak. It is very important. If you hear somebody that is saying something and they're saying something similar to what you say, I do offer advice that you also at least briefly come up and just say ditto or something, because if folks don't say anything, we assume that you don't have anything specific to say about it, even if it's been said or not. And apologies again to those that were trying to speak. It sounded like we might have an issue with an update that needs to happen, and that's computers, right? I also would like to just again say my thoughts on fireworks in case they weren't clear. I did mention them last year during and after the 4th of July, and I'll say it now. I'm done with fireworks. Between the fires that we had this year, hearing about issues where insurance is going up for fires. I've heard something about Benton City. They're having issues with that. The fact that my neighbor blew a hole through my fence and I can't do anything about it because nobody saw it happen, even though we know it was them. And just the fact that we're the dealers of aerials and mortars to this area when it's not allowed in other parts of the area, it just doesn't make sense that where we have the most amount of open land, where we have so much fire hazard in our lands, for us to be the ones to allow it. And I understand that people like it, but what it comes down to is your celebrations aren't more important than our safety. The safety is key, and that is what the city is trying to preserve, is the city of the residents, the city of the businesses, preserving our way of life requires us to have a house and businesses to go to and roads to travel on that aren't covered in fire or the remnants of fire or fireworks. So thank you all that have spoken. I'm looking forward to next Tuesday to discuss with council what our thoughts are on it. I will not be here on the 19th, which is the next council meeting. So 2 weeks from now, but I will be at the Ben Franklin Transit Board of Directors meeting not this Thursday, but next Thursday, which is hybrid. And then at the Benton Franklin Council of Governments Board meeting, which will be on the 15th, next Friday, and also will be a hybrid. And also, I wanted to briefly just touch on data centers. I know that it's a big thing. I've been kind of looking at them. It's concerning. Every chance that I've read about them, it is concerning. So I trust that the staff isn't planning to pull a fast one and is going to be transparent. And when I say I trust, that means I know that they won't. There will be a transparent process for this. So when it comes to that, I know staff knows I ask questions. So we're going to ask a lot of questions if somebody does present us with the proposal for a data center. But again, appreciate everybody speaking up. We are hearing you. And please keep coming, keep emailing, keep speaking up, write letters even. We like a letter. And that's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember Moran. Councilmember Ritchie?
There's an old saying that none of us is as smart as all of us. And so your being here this evening is a large part of stepping up and helping all of us to be a little bit smarter. So thank you very much for being here tonight. Thank you to those that have come and talked to me about these issues of the data centers, of the fireworks, etc. Let your voice be heard. We may not agree, and that's okay, because all of us together will get a better answer. So please come talk to us. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Councilmember Ritchie. Councilmember Smart.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and residents attending and those who aren't, appreciate your comments as always. I just to go with Kate's suggestion, I ditto the comments of on that regard about making comments. It really is valuable, even though we don't agree on everything. I did have a couple statements to make about some of the comments that were in the input tonight. The survey is good. I voted to spend money to take surveys of folks in the city. I don't think it's perfect. We had a lot of problems with it the first couple of years. There were evidently some percentage of votes that were votes. I shouldn't say the word vote. Inputs that were considered invalid. People were cheating somehow. Not sure on the details, but I don't think that's happening as much now. We had more respondents this year than in the past. It's still not a vote of the people. And as council members, we have to take everybody's opinions into consideration. In marketing class, they always told us that, you know, if you serve one bad hamburger, it takes 10 elated customers to outdo one disgruntled customer. And that's just true for all of life. Essentially, when there's an issue that comes up that's a sticking point, that is foremost in our minds. And so as council members, we have to take all that into account. I want to mention about data centers. So it's not a proposal yet. It is a possibility. What Councilmember Moran said is true. I believe that we will be transparent. I'll also say that I believe I certainly have, and I'm sure the staff has communicated to me that, and I won't speak for council, but I'll say that we are all concerned as residents here about the health impacts of a data center, whether it be air pollution, water pollution, noise pollution, just being unsightly, being a bad neighbor. I wouldn't intend to allow that to happen, period. I mean, I heard a comment about closed loop cooling systems are not really closed loop. Let's look into that. What I keep missing, and what I would encourage you as residents who are concerned to do for us, is to get us the data. Show me the report that indicates adverse health impacts or adverse water conditions as a result of a data center. Show me where that was, what they found, and is it applicable today? And can it be mitigated or can it not be? I mean, this is just a technical issue. It either is a problem or it's not a problem. As far as aesthetics and noise, I think the regulations that I wouldn't say the regulations, but the code that we are looking at would have pretty significant setbacks between any resident and or even a road and the data center itself. Several hundred feet, I don't remember the number, but with landscaping and walls and trees and so forth. So it's not like this hasn't been on our mind about the potential impacts, but I'll speak for myself. I don't know what all of the actual impacts may be. I have not lived next to a data center. I haven't even visited one. As far as benefit to the community, it may be marginal. It's true that we have a lot of land and that we would be a prime target in the eyes of a data center locator because we have a lot of land, we have a lot of water resources, and sparsely populated area at the moment. I mean, I can see why they might be attracted to this area. I would say that there has been discussion, and it's not like this is the most important thing. As a matter of fact, in my mind, you know, whatever tax revenue we may receive from a data center doesn't come into my equation. But I will mention that when they buy their equipment or build their buildings or do all of this, there will be a significant tax income. Just saying. I will repeat, that is not just like with the fireworks. About the whole idea that we allow fireworks stands to be put in the city because we gain tax money from the sales, never comes into my mind. I could care less about how much tax revenue is created by one business or another. It either happens or it doesn't. Same with the data center. So the data center needs to be safe, environmentally friendly, and not an adverse impact to our community. As far as using up the land, I will admit at that point, there's no way around it. It will use up land. But we have like 22 square miles of land in this city. We've only developed a few square miles of that to date. So it'll take several hundred years to fill the land area that this city currently has in its urban growth area. So that's just fact. So the last thing I will say is that it's a question to maybe be answered in future meetings. When I built my house in the middle of the desert, I was given a choice to either raise a 20-foot path of ground around the 2.5 acre parcel so that fire couldn't transgress, supposedly, although I think it could have, or provide an 83-foot non-flammable surface, which turned into my own personal golf course, even though I don't golf, That's the only reason I have that grass. I don't have that grass around my house just for looks. And I certainly don't enjoy mowing it or watering it. But it's there because it was required as part of fire mitigation for building a house in the desert. So I just want to state that as a fact. That's true. And I don't know what the regulations are today, but maybe we could look into those. Maybe there are some, maybe there aren't. Just brought it up as a comment. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilmember Smart. I will turn first to Councilmember Cole and then to you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say thanks to the citizens for engaging here and regularly showing up. I know there are some well, I won't say their names, but there are some folks here that are regular and bring their comments to us about ongoing city affairs. And I'd just like to encourage citizen participation with regularity, not just the hot topic issues like fireworks and data centers and pot shops. But I think the ongoing stuff of the city matters, and the best way to get a good understanding of what the citizenry, what their thoughts are to show up and to speak up. I think citizen engagement is crucial for effective local government. This is the level of government that affects us most personally because it's right here, not in Washington, D.C. So that's where I think the engagement is by far the most effective. Secondly, I'll be attending the Hanford Communities Town Hall tomorrow, and I think there's some others as well attending, and would like to provide a report on that at our next meeting. Third thing, I'd like to call attention to the National Day of Prayer. That's Thursday, the 7th. Frankly, I'd encourage us to make every day a day of prayer, and that's it.
Thank you, Councilmember Cole. Mayor Pro Tem Bloom.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, I had the clerk share my thoughts on fireworks, outlining what I believe we can do this year and what we can do to affect it in the future. It's not, we have relatively, we have implemented the state regulations, but we have not reiterated those regulations in our code directly, reminding people that when you shoot off fireworks, you must be responsible. And some areas we could define what negligence would look like and prohibit those fireworks in those areas, such as at steep slopes and those areas prone to extreme fire damage. Additionally, I will not be here next week. That's why I provided that detail. I'll be traveling for the next couple of weeks. And so I will miss the next city council meeting as well, unless somehow I can remote in, but I doubt I will be able to. As far as data centers, there are rumors that the Chinese are the ones spreading rumors about data centers. And so I will bring my personal experience. My son is community development director in Cheyenne, Wyoming. They have no less than 15 data centers, and he has 40 other applications for data centers. Cheyenne's a very energy available, but they don't have any water either because of being on the west side, or the east side of the Rockies, much like we are on the shadow of the mountains. So they're low on water. And so he took me on a tour of their data centers. And, there's some ugly ones and noisy ones and awful ones. Their data centers started going in 10 years ago. And the regulations and abilities of the newer ones are better and can be made reasonable. But much like West Richland, Cheyenne, for some, by God, they got a lot of desert. Because if you've ever been to Wyoming, there's a lot of nothing. And so when you talk about bad examples, find them, like was discussed here, bring that up so that we know bad examples. I will share bad examples and invited our to go to a tour of all the data centers they have in Cheyenne. But we're building new ones here, and we can go see them as well. My biggest concern of data centers come with a whole bunch of big ass generators. And I've worked on big generators at nuclear facilities, and when you fire those up, they make a lot of noise. That's my biggest concern of data centers. And the noise bouncing off the mountains around here, you see it when the racetracks run. But, there's a lot of negativity to data centers, and, power costs, we're getting over that. Definitely, data centers may bring in a nuke, and they'll have to pay for their own power. So we don't have a lot of surplus power in this area. Other people are stealing it. So there's a lot of issues that have to be addressed, but the data centers of old may not be the data centers of today. But he also tells me a lot of people went rushing into a whole bunch of data centers, and they're pulling back permits in Cheyenne because they're getting to be overpopulated with data centers. So we'll see what happens. But again, don't fall for the trap that all data centers have to be bad. They can't be mitigated. Because I did see a couple that basically didn't look much worse than the Amazon facility over in Pasco. It's a big building, a lot of parking type of situation. So that's just reality of what's going on. But remember, as far as fireworks go, we have some things we can do before the 4th and some things we can't do before the 4th. We just have to prepare for the next year. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Council. Before I close tonight's meeting, I will just make one comment, please. I've been mayor for 125 days as of today, and I'm not looking now, no applause. But what I do want to point out is one of the things that I pride myself on and that I'm proud of our staff doing is engagement with the community. And should a road be proposed, or should a corner shop be proposed, or even a big box store, our staff is working very closely to ensure that the public is informed, that the public is engaged through open meetings, through the Planning Commission, through City Council, and so forth. There is 100% transparency, and that is my expectation as the chief executive here in the city, and I guarantee that it will be delivered. We will have engagement with the community regardless of what is proposed. We will have transparency with the community regardless of what is proposed. The bottom line is for the dozen or so individuals here tonight and the others that are listening online, any process, any plan that the city receives for any development is brought before all of you in various forms. So there will be communication, will be discussion if a data center is ever proposed, if a Walmart is ever proposed, if a connection to the interstate is ever proposed. All these items will be discussed thoroughly with the citizens. And so I will leave it at that. We will have a workshop on May 12th. I invite everyone to come to that they wish, on fireworks. And other than that, it is 7:24. Oh, 5:30. There is no executive session, by the way. Yep, 5:30 for our workshop. All right, thank you all. I'll adjourn the meeting at 7:25.